Brian, I'm going to toss it your way. We have lots to cover today. Take it away.
Yeah, I kind of want to start by just showing people how much these current storms since essentially Martin Luther King weekend have really helped our snowpack. What I'm showing here is our snow water equivalent across the state's river basins from January 8th. And you can see that we were sitting in the 60s or 70 percentiles of long-term median, which was pretty depressing and a little bit worrisome. These storms since Martin Luther King weekend have really helped our snowpack. And so here's where we sat a month later on February 7th. And you can see most of our river basins outside of the upper Rio Grande are very near long-term average. So this is great news for our current snowpack. What these storms have done, though, of course, generated some avalanche activity. And so our most recent storm, which really started to impact the southern mountains on Wednesday and is bringing healthy snowfall, is this much publicized atmospheric river. It is the same system that brought all these, very heavy rains, mudslides, and the like to California. And for us, it just meant a lot of precipitation, mostly in the form of snow at higher elevations. And what that atmospheric river looked like for us here in Colorado was some pretty good snowfall favoring the San Juan Mountains. And you can see we're looking at snowfall between, essentially the beginning of Tuesday night and through Thursday and into Friday of, 1 to 2 or even upwards of 3 feet in these places that are showing purple. And what all of that snowfall did was load some fairly fragile weak layers because it's also coming in with a lot of wind. So this is just from Tuesday near Pikes Peak, but we got reports of drifting snow prior to and during this storm from around the state. What all this drifting snow does is create stiffer slabs on top of these very fragile weak layers. And these feathery crystals, which we're showing here, are surface ore. This layer was responsible for a lot of the avalanche activity which took place last weekend during our last storm event. And we're just loading this really fragile weak layer again with the storm that started on Wednesday. But this video will show what it looks like once it gets buried. And it's actually fairly easy to see. And when we add load to that, they become more susceptible to failure, as this short video will explain.
We're up here at the headwaters of Raspberry Creek, north-facing slope right near tree line. These two most recent storms from the Martin Luther King weekend and last weekend has really added to our snowpack. We're at about 250 centimeters of snow on the ground right now. We've only excavated the upper part of the snow pit because that's where all of our avalanches have been breaking. The cycle over the weekend was breaking on this obvious layer of surface ore, which is now down about 50 centimeters. We've got some stiffer mid-pack slabs, which sit above our drought layer from January. Fairly protected area, so the surface ore is preserved. We don't have quite enough of a slab in this location to get our block to propagate across the column, but there's a lot of wind today. This layer is quite fragile. As you can see, we're on the beginning edge of this storm. As we add more weight and continue drifting from west to southwest winds, it's going to be really easy for avalanches to break on the surface ore layer as the storm snow starts to accumulate. Another natural avalanche cycle like we saw last weekend, with avalanches breaking around 2 feet deep, maybe up to 3 feet deep in wind drifted areas in the Alpine. Those bigger avalanches do have the potential to step down, be up to 4 feet thick on our January drought layer. So we're going to have really cautious terrain choices.
Now we're adding more load to that really fragile weak layer. And you can see how weak it is in that video because you can see through it, right? And so what that did last weekend when we loaded it was to lead to some fairly widely propagating avalanches from around the state. And here's an example of what these look like once the storm cleared. And you can see some of these were quite big and destructive. And some of them did step into those January drought layers. And you can see these deeper crown lines. And the reason I'm showing you here is we're likely to see another round of those because the storm on Wednesday through Thursday and into Friday is adding a ton of weight. And so what that means for avalanche danger is widespread dangerous avalanche conditions. We don't expect as widespread of a natural avalanche cycle, but it's going to mean a lot of slopes are ripe for human-triggered avalanches. So we're going to need really cautious terrain selection, really careful travel in and around avalanche terrain, even into the weekend once these warnings expire, because it's going to take a while for those buried weak layers like the surface ore we talked about to heal from the new load that it got middle of the week.
And Brian, of course, it's so important to have those live updates. So where can we go to make sure that we are on top of everything we need to know?
Yeah, we got two places. One is at Colorado.gov/avalanche. That's our website where you can get all the avalanche danger ratings, forecasts for anywhere you're going in the state, as well as look at weather station observations and things like that. You can also get the avalanche danger rating for anywhere you're going in the Colorado mountains by going to the CAIC mobile app if you're on the move.
We love a mobile app. Take everything on the go and get what we need whenever we need it. So thank you so much, Brian, for keeping us in the know on everything to expect. So appreciate your time.
Yeah, stay safe out there. We'll see everyone next week.